Okay, chapter 3, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Hope you took a read over this, and we're going to give you some of our thoughts, hopefully some engagement. So let's start as we usually do. We'll start with Chris, we'll pass it to Zach, and let's talk about it. What did you think of chapter 3, Chris?
Absolutely. Chapter 3 was really interesting as well, diving a little bit further into what these assets are, which I think is interesting. And while I'm reading, I'm going, okay, what is it? What are these assets? Because like we remember from the other chapters, he's talking about not income from your job. He's talking about what these assets are: keeping expenses low, reducing liabilities, diligently building a base of solid assets. And he defines these as a few different things. He goes through it and he says, businesses that do not require your presence. You own it, somebody else runs it or manages it. Maybe you're investing into a business that somebody's getting going, putting money into stocks, bonds, income generating real estate. He talks about notes and royalties from IPs, which I think is interesting as well: music, scripts, patents. And then he's got a little subnote that says anything with value that produces income and appreciates with a ready market for the item are things that you can put money into that are going to give you a return. And then you can use that return instead of your income from your profession, instead of your business, which is what we're talking about here, in order to buy the things that you want. Because that's what we were talking about before. Where's my drum set, right? Is that my liability? How am I going to buy that? Well, that's one of the ways to do it. And I thought that was really interesting that he was talking about that. Last thing, he was also talking about loving the thing that you're putting money into. So your assets, loving what that asset is. It's not a one-trick pony. There's lots of different things that you can put money into, and the things that you engage with, maybe the business, you really like that business. That's why you put money into that. It might not be a rental income property. It could be a whole bunch of different things. And I really thought that was interesting. Over to you, Zach.
Hey guys, and girls. So my thought was the hammer he drops at the end of this with his real life explanation. So he talks about his wife Kim wants a new Mercedes Benz, and they had the cash to buy it, but instead they take that cash, they funnel it into a new apartment building, and then they sit on that cash flow and save it up for 4 years, and she buys the Mercedes Benz with the cash flow from the property instead of just buying it outright, and then that money's gone. And I mean, this isn't new. It's delayed gratification. Most people know about this or have heard about it. And there's this interesting kind of aside that can go with this idea. And there's this man, Dr. Edward Banfield, studied the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people. And as you move up the ladder, as people get richer and richer, the biggest difference between them is the amount of time that they take into perspective when they're making a decision. I mean, this is a perfect example. 4 years to wait for a Mercedes seems like a long time, but imagine not having to actually pay for the car. I mean, I think that's vital. And this is what we're all doing it for. That Chris's drum set could come out of income that he doesn't have to earn. And I mean, that's the goal for all of us, is financial freedom. So I'm gonna pass it over to Aaron with his take.
Nice, thanks. A couple things jumped out at me. There's a story about Ray Kroc, who started McDonald's, and he was sitting around having beers after doing a presentation at a university, and someone asked him, or he asked the students, he said, what business am I in? And they kind of thought, is this a trick question? It's kind of funny. Obviously, you're in the hamburger business. And he said, no, I'm in the real estate business. He said, McDonald's, we own some of the most expensive street corners all around the world. And that's the business I'm in, is the real estate business, the real estate that's underneath the McDonald's franchises, which is great. I also like, Robert was sharing that he got turned down for a loan before from the bank because they didn't like that most of his income was residual income from rental properties. That's not a normal job. And so they were okay with him listing on his asset sheet fancy suits and an art collection, which seems a little crazy to me. But they said, oh no, you don't have a normal job, so we're not gonna approve you. We don't like this rental income, which is backwards. Yeah, those were the two things that were jumping out at me. Any final things you guys want to mention about this chapter? Chris, Zach, anything?
Well, one last thing.
Thumb on camera.
Thumb on camera.
Oh!
Thumb on camera. It's a fail. Minding your business. So the difference between your business and the difference between your business and your profession, right? So he's talking about that a couple times. He's talking about your business being the thing that you're getting from your asset, and your profession is what you're doing on a day-to-day, that you're doing inside and out. And that really struck home to me, is trying to develop what that other side is. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. I mean, I think instead of getting bogged down in what all these different assets are, pick one that makes sense to you. I was going to have a little rant on the bond market, but I think that's for when you're deep enough into this that if you actually want to like have a discussion, reach out to one of us and talk to us about it, because there's lots of options that'll suit different personalities, depending on where you're at and what kind of time and the level of engagement you want to have in this. So that would be my 2 cents.
Absolutely. And when Zach says reach out to one of us to chat about bonds for an hour and a half, he means reach out to him. I'm happy to chat with you about rental properties, but that's a Zach thing. He's the one with the expired or still valid security ticket, whatever. He'll talk to you about bonds. And yeah, thanks for watching this. Hope everybody's having a great day. Jump into chapter 4. Looking forward to chatting later. Bye-bye.